Between the Temples 2024. This is the latest film I've seen, and I did enjoy it. But I think it's a very strange film. Maybe that adds to the comedy elements. It stars Jason Schwartzman, Ben Gottlieb, Carol Kane, Carla Kessler, Madeline Weinstein, Gabby Stroke Ruth. The film is a kind of love triangle between Gabby, Carla, and Ben, who's caught in the middle, hence the two temples. But I think maybe the first idea in the title, Between the Temples, would be between religious groups. At the start of the film, we gather that Ben is a cantor and he's very highly involved in kosher, being a devout member of the Jewish faith. So Ben hits problems right from the start. He's supposed to be this cantor, this singer, and yet he can't. He freezes. He gets into all sorts of trouble right at the start of the film. And some of it is fairly amusing, some of it, there's a poignant angle to it because at one point he runs down to a main road and he sits in it, and when this huge juggernaut appears, one of those big, I think they're called semi in the US, semi vehicles, articulated often, but I think this is only one 44-ton truck. The driver keeps honking the horn and Ben says keep going. He wants the truck to finish him off. At the next scene, he's in the cab, he's getting a lift. There's amusement even in the poignant, sad parts of this film. So he's having trouble with the part he plays in the Jewish religion. And he goes to a pub, he gets drunk on mudslides, his tipple of choice. Then he falls out with some man who does seem to be laughing at him, but don't know if the device of the film is maybe that doesn't happen, but he confronts this chap. The chap's partner is trying to pull him back, but there's going to be a little bit of a contretemps, a bit of a fight, and Ben gets his lights punched out. And then we get to see him meeting Carla, who is like a saviour in his life. And he actually moves in with her. One of the early scenes is she says she'll be downstairs, and by that she actually means sleeping on the floor. And there's all those little elements of humour throughout. And some of the humour didn't really evoke as much of a titillating response in me as I'd imagine the filmmakers may have assumed. I mean, there's these sort of sped up scenes. There's this whole dispute when Carla's son meets him. It's very suspicious. And of course, there's these age gaps in this love triangle because Carla is in her 60s, maybe in her 70s, might be in her 70s, I think. Ben's middle-aged, probably in his 40s. And then there's Gabby, who is much younger still in her 20s, possibly 30. I'm not very good at judging age. She seems a fair bit younger than Ben, and yet there's chemistry. There's this scene in a cemetery, and Ben talks about his wife. His wife died, and she was a bestseller. So it makes it very entertaining at times. Then there's sort of the titillation of the passages that Gabby does read one of Ben's now dead wife, one of the books she published, her bestseller. But what she finds really interesting is she wants to hear one of the 700 odd voice messages. They've changed recently, haven't they? Voice notes, I think they're called now. Voice messages, and it's sexually explicit. And that adds the humour because it's sort of just reactions. There are so many elements that are unexpected, and unexpected stuff often makes humour. You get that little bit of surprise and you end up laughing. That's what happens with me often. That's what I liked about this film. There's this squeaky door. Oh my gosh, a door that really... it sounds in so much distress. And it reminds me of my front door. There was a real problem with my front door last year. For quite a while, it took months to sort out. But it sounded like a cat in distress, sort of sometimes meowing. The wood in the door didn't fit very well, and it got worse in certain conditions, damp conditions. So it sometimes sounded like there was a cat in distress. And one of my former neighbours had a missing cat. He was out on the walkway looking for his little kitty. And I was just pulling my door closed, and he suddenly appeared, and he said, "Oh, I'm just looking for a cat. I thought I heard." This cat, it was just my door. Sadly, I don't think that cat was ever found. There's so many missing cat posters. Cats, they're beautiful. Take that message from Cali Cat, Cali Time Cat, Cali Film Cat, that's important. If you ever see a cat and can repatriate it, you like that, repatriate. Anyway, I am digressing, but fortunately it didn't affect my misophonia badly. But one thing about this film, cautionary warning, is misophonia, because there's a lot of chewing sounds. I have to do something to stop those sounds affecting me. Oh my gosh, that is something about this film that I really didn't like, and it's going to lose at least a point of score, if not a point and a half. Maybe this film could be scored 9 on a good day, but the sound of eating, some chewing, the visual sight of chewing really puts me off. I really don't like that in films. I would rather films reduce that. I find eating difficult in real life, the sound of people eating. I don't like people eating nearby me in the cinema, but there's all sorts of factors that are very distressing. They cause difficulty for my super acute sense of hearing. I think I'll score this 7.5. I am actually minded to probably score it 7.75 because there was a lot of humour and it was a great film in many respects. I learnt a lot about the Jewish faith and a little bit about some other faiths that appeared in it as well. This whole three-way, there wasn't a three-way, but the whole heartbreak of 3 people in love, whether you're the person who's been torn or not, it's always difficult. And if someone's created the wrong impression, that's difficult. The fact that Ben is cultivating 2 relationships with very different women in terms of age groups, and it makes for a really interesting story. I thought it was really good. So 7.75. Love to know what you think. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing if you do. Thank you. Bye for now. I will also mention my bedroom door sounded like a rabbit. I thought I was getting a whole menagerie of doors, squeaky doors, most unusual sounds. Mainly last year, I've taken steps to reduce these sometimes cute, sometimes distressing noises.